Have you ever wished you could go back in time and maybe change something about your past? Maybe you wish you would have married your first love. Or maybe you wish you didn't. Or you could go back in time and actually see how the pyramids were built. Today we're going to be exploring one of my favorite topics, time travel. Welcome to Edge of Wonder. I'm your host, Ben Chasteen, and joining me today is my friend Rob Counts, who is also a time travel enthusiast.
Hey guys. Basically, my views on time travel or any of this kind of things is we should be open to things. It's not that I want to readily believe any information that's just put in front of me, but I think people a lot of times just totally don't pay attention to all kinds of things that could actually be happening. I tend to keep a little bit more open about those things, but at the same time, I'm cautious about accepting anything. You can't just believe something someone tells you.
Right. You know, growing up, one of my favorite movies was, well, aside from Star Wars, was Back to the Future. I just really loved that movie.
Is it time travel?
Because of the time travel.
I was pretty much a Groundhog Day guy.
Groundhog Day was really good too, though. I really liked that. And actually, most recently, I really liked Interstellar. I thought that was a really great movie.
And what about Edge of Tomorrow?
And Edge of...
They kind of stole our name there. Yeah.
Actually, you were telling me about a story that I didn't know about previously.
I found this really interesting article about this guy who disappeared in I think it was the 1800s sometimes, right? And he reappears in Times Square 50 years later. And as soon as he arrives in Times Square, he gets hit by a car. Police find him. He's dressed like he belongs 100 years earlier or 50 years earlier, whatever. And they do some research and they find out that this guy actually existed back then. And he was going for a walk one night, disappears, and he ends up in Times Square randomly, and everyone's just totally no one can figure any of that stuff out.
Well, there's the hipster time traveler, have you seen that photo?
Yeah, that's a weird one, right?
Right, so the photo is a legit photo. I mean, it hasn't been photoshopped or edited in any way or shape or form. The guy's camera is actually a Kodak 6 that is actually from that time period. Right. Same thing with his glasses. I saw him walking down the street today. Even with that camera, you wouldn't even think anything of it.
Yeah, it was how he was dressed, but if you look at every single other person in that photo, everyone's dressed really nice, how they used to back then.
Tie and hat and everything.
Yeah, and then only him, and he's got a graphic tee. I mean, anything's possible.
Anything's possible, who knows? But I want to kind of talk about something more interesting that I found lately, which is a guy by the name of Andrew Basiago, supposedly a time traveler who's photographed during the Abraham Lincoln Gettysburg Address.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Have you heard about this?
No.
Okay, because with you being really into time travel, I was like, wow, Rob's gonna really freak out about this one.
And by into time travel, he means I've watched Time Cop a lot.
So, okay, going back to this photo, this guy's name Andrew Basiago. Supposedly, he was part of a U.S. government experiment called Project Pegasus, where he was involved in time travel. I mean, his father was part of this program, traveling back in time and whatnot. So his father goes back in time to the Abraham Lincoln days. He sees his son there. So he knew that his son was going to be part of the program. So he comes back to the present, invites his son, Andrew. I think at the time he was 10 years old or something, right?
Interesting.
Now, this kind of goes along with what happened at the Montauk Project. They were also doing experiments as well, supposedly on kids. Well, you know Stranger Things, right?
Oh, yeah.
Of course, everyone knows Stranger Things. Well, did you know the original title was going to be called Montauk Project?
No.
Yeah, that was the original title of the show, but then they decided to change it. And
that would have changed things massively.
But that's actually supposedly what Stranger Things is based out of, as the stuff that happened in the Montauk Project. But getting back to Andrew's story, his father starts taking him and they start traveling in time. Then he goes back to the Gettysburg Address with Abraham Lincoln, and he says that after Lincoln gave his speech, then he starts walking forward, and that's who you see in the photo, in the very front of the photo.
So you actually see Abraham in the back?
In the back, yeah. Wow. You can actually see Abraham in the back. And then in the center of the photo, you see it looks like a little boy.
Yeah, I think the most interesting thing about that photo is that his shoes really actually do look bigger.
Yeah, they actually do. Because he said when he jumped back and passed, His shoes, for some reason, didn't come with them, and so he had to borrow someone's shoes.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
You talked about the Montauk project a couple of minutes ago, right? Wasn't Tesla and like Einstein and stuff connected to this? What happened?
Yes. So supposedly Tesla actually created time machine.
Really?
This is the actual thing. So it gets even crazier. JP Morgan was originally funding Tesla, and he was doing stuff with Edison as well. So Tesla wanted to give this away for free. He didn't want to make money off of it. He felt like this is given to mankind and that he wanted to give it out. JP Morgan and Edison had total opposite views. They're like, we want it for the money, right? So JP Morgan stopped funding Tesla, and then he just went strictly with Edison, and unfortunately Edison took a lot of Tesla's ideas. So Tesla needed money and needed help, and guess who he goes to? John G. Trump.
Wait, like Trump? Like President Trump?
Like President Donald Trump.
Crazy.
So it was his uncle. I think it might have been a great uncle, but anyways. So then after Tesla dies,
Which was at the New Yorker,
yeah,
right?
it's right near
He
here,
like
actually.
died there.
So right after he died, Uncle Trump.
Let's call him Uncle Trump.
Uncle Trump.
That's good.
They go in with the FBI. The FBI confiscates everything. So then people are like, wait a minute, what happened, blah, blah, blah. So supposedly they say they released all the papers. According to Andrew Basiago, he says that the FBI kept a lot of the top secret about like time travel. There's stuff about teleportation, other
About
things like
Jean-Claude Van Damme. Sure. So didn't Tesla talk about like cell phones, video chat, and internet?
Yeah, actually, believe it or not, he actually has a quote.
Okay, so he said, when wireless is perfectly applied, the whole Earth will be converted into a huge brain, which in fact is, all things being particles of a real and rhythmic whole. We shall be able to communicate with one another instantly, irrespective of distance. Not only this, but through television and telephony, we shall see and hear one another as perfectly as though we were face to face, despite intervening distances of thousands of miles, and the instruments through which we shall be able to do this will be amazingly simple compared with our present telephone. A man will be able to carry one in his vest pocket. Dude just talked about iPhones.
Yeah,
That's
isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So he talks about iPhones, he talks about FaceTime, and he talks about the internet. So there's a theory out there that actually Tesla used this time machine to actually go into the future and actually saw the
so
future.
he saw that?
So supposedly he saw it. People are not going to want you to release this. The government's not going to want this
Well,
out.
now why, when you can make money off of it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
This gets pretty even more crazier. Hitler supposedly had a time
Oh,
machine.
come on. Why is Hitler attached to everything? He's already in like almost every movie.
I know. Supposedly he had a time machine called the glocke,
Oh, yeah?
meaning the bell. Right before World War II, when things were escalating, there was a crash, which they thought there was the Allied forces. Supposedly they found the UFO.
Oh, so basically all this technology came from this UFO.
That is the theory, and that's how they were able to develop more technology than the West. It's like, they developed first the U-boats, and then they had faster planes. And there's actual photos of UFOs with Nazi symbols on them.
Of course they put a Nazi symbol
know
on
if
them.
it's like real, who knows.
So, okay, so let's say you went back in time, Ben, and you were like, I don't like Rob. I wanna wipe Rob off the face of the earth, and you kill my grandfather. What's gonna happen to me?
I can answer this. It's a very common thing, the grandfather paradox. So I think I kind of figured this out. Let's say that this is our timeline, right? We're living on this timeline right here. And 2018, let's use the analogy like, you wish you would have married this girl back in 2006. So let's say you go back in time, 2006. So now you have your old 2018 self, and then you have your younger self here.
Kind of skinny.
Obviously, you can't marry this girl from 2018. It's not going to work. So the only way you're going to do it is you have to convince yourself to marry this girl. So you end up getting married finally. You go back to 2018, present time. The thing is, nothing's going to change because it never happened on this timeline originally. So everything you do, it can't affect this timeline if it didn't already happen on that timeline.
So you mean you can't derail yourself off of a timeline?
Right. So even if they got married, what would end up happening is an alternate universe or alternate dimension would come in, and then they would be happily married, hopefully, on this alternate timeline, which you would have no connection with at all.
That sounds really underwhelming.
So I think there's small things that could be changed. But like, for example, let's go back to kill Jean-Claude Van Damme so he doesn't have to make the movie Time Cop, right?
Please do.
So we go back in time, but it's the same thing. Even if you're dumb and you decide to kill his grandfather, it's just going to create an alternate dimension. You're going to be in jail,
That's right.
and in this dimension, you just go back here and
JCVD still, drop kicking people.
yeah.
Man, there's like so much information out there about time travel. This is crazy.
Yes, there's a whole lot.
I think like my next step is I'm gonna go home and watch Terminator 1 and 2, but none of the others because they're horrible.
I agree with you. So what do you guys think of today's episode on time travel? Do you believe Andrew Basagio's story? What about Project Pegasus? Or Tesla's theory? Or how about Hitler's the glocke? Comment below. Also, do you have any stories or experiences you would like to share? Or maybe there's a specific topic that you would like me to cover. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe for more awesome videos on unexplained mysteries, life, and our wondrous universe. Until then, we'll see you out on the edge.
The edge of wonder. Wonder.